Hello and welcome to a short webinar hosted by the Commission for Educational Exchange between the United States, Belgium, and Luxembourg. In addition to administering the Fulbright programs for Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Union, the Commission for Educational Exchange also offers educational advising for students in Belgium who are thinking about studying in the United States. Education USA makes applying to a U.S. college or university clear by identifying your 5 steps to U.S. study. In today's video, we'll talk briefly about options that law students and young lawyers have to finance an LLM degree in the United States. While it is easy to focus on the sticker price of a particular law school, it's important to consider how factors like living expenses and available institutional aid might change the actual cost of attending a school. The first thing that I'd like to mention when talking about financing your LLM is the actual cost of an LLM program. Remember that the total cost of attending an LLM program in the United States includes both tuition and fees, which vary from institution to institution and which are not directly correlated to the quality of the institution, and living expenses. Living expenses include transportation, books, health insurance, and of course, cost of living. Keep in mind that some areas of the country, like California and the Northeast, are traditionally associated with higher costs of living. University websites are a good source of information about estimated living costs and will give you an idea of what it might cost to be a student in a particular area. It is true that LLM degrees can be expensive. According to American University in Washington, D.C., an LLM degree from the American University Washington College of Law can cost a full-time student $54,832 per year. This is pretty standard, with the cost of attending an LLM program ranging from $30,000 to $60,000. However, most students and young lawyers view an LLM as an investment in their future. In other words, they know that by investing in a one-year degree program, they will emerge as more well-rounded and competitive lawyers with more job prospects and higher earning potential. There are many different ways to finance your studies in the United States. These include scholarships, which are based on merit and typically awarded to very competitive students based on, for example, outstanding academic performance, financial aid based on demonstrated financial need, loans, which must be paid back after graduation, and student employment. Students should keep in mind that the vast majority of graduate international students rely on their own personal and family income as their primary source of funding. Financial assistance for international students may come from home country funds, organized, for example, by local governments or private foundations or from a U.S. university. We'll talk more about funding from law schools in just a moment. Since foreign students are usually in competition with U.S. students for financial aid funds, international students should carefully explore all opportunities for funding in their own country. Many law schools in the United States offer scholarships specifically for international students pursuing LLM degrees. These are usually divided into merit-based and need-based aid. Merit-based scholarships are awarded on the basis of a student's academic merit. Depending on the school, students may automatically be considered for relevant merit-based scholarships and do not need to submit separate applications. Some LLM programs may also offer need-based financial aid. Need-based scholarships are academic grants for students who cannot afford to cover the cost of tuition. Need-based grants are given out on a limited basis, may be combined with loans, which we will talk more about in a moment, and may not cover the full cost of a student's tuition. Every law school handles institutional aid differently, so it's important to check university websites to learn if need-based financial aid is distributed, what criteria the school uses for merit and need-based aid, and what additional steps are required to be considered. Another way that many students finance LLM degrees is through student loans. That is, money borrowed for educational expenses that will ultimately need to be repaid. Federal student loans are popular with U.S. students studying in the U.S., but they are not available to international students. Instead, international students are eligible for international student loans, specialized private education loans available to international students studying in the U.S. Law schools can also help to arrange loans for international students, replacing the need for a U.S. cosigner to vouch for the student's credit, and loans may be offered as part of a complete financial aid package. In addition, students can obtain loans through organizations like the Ferdinand Lazard Foundation. Located in Belgium, this organization offers interest-free loans of up to €25,000 to young Europeans educated in Belgium. Many law schools offer students the opportunity to be employed by the school. Some law schools, such as Boston University, have online portals or databases to help their students find jobs. Some law schools, such as USC Gould School of Law, offer students the opportunity to work alongside their professors as research assistants. Many law schools offer students the opportunity for student employment, the wages from which can be used to supplement their existing finances. International academic students on F1 visas are legally allowed to work on campus up to 20 hours per week during school and full-time, or up to 40 hours per week during vacation. Belgian lawyers and law students should also pay attention to the following resources that may be available to help fund their LLM degree. As already mentioned, the Ferdinand Lazard Foundation provides loans and a limited number of need-based scholarships to EU nationals educated in Belgium. Secondly, the Belgian American Education Foundation offers Belgian students grants of up to $48,000 to pursue an LLM degree in the United States. Lastly, the Fulbright Commission also offers grants for Belgium and Luxembourgish students to pursue study and research opportunities, including LLM degrees, in the United States. My colleague will talk more about the mission of the Fulbright program in just a moment, but it's important to remember that while the Fulbright program exists in over 160 countries around the world, guidelines and available grants differ. Belgian students can apply for funding for LLM degrees, but nationals of other countries may not have this opportunity.
In September 1945, the freshman senator from Arkansas, J. William Fulbright, introduced a bill in the U.S. Congress that called for the use of proceeds from the sales of surplus war property to fund the promotion of international goodwill through the exchange of students in the fields of education, culture, and science. 1 year later, President Harry S. Truman signed the Fulbright Act into law. The first exchanges between the United States and Belgium occurred 2 years later in 1948. Today, 70 years after its creation, Fulbright is the most widely recognized and prestigious international exchange program in the world, supported for more than half a century by the American people through an annual appropriation from the U.S. Congress and by the people of partner nations. The program, working with universities, schools, binational Fulbright commissions, government agencies, non-governmental organizations, and the private sector, actively seeks out individuals of achievement and potential who represent the full diversity of their respective societies and selects nominees through open, merit-based competitions. Since the program began in 1946, more than 370,000 Fulbrighters have participated in the Fulbright program, coming from and going to more than 160 countries. Why apply for a Fulbright grant? Fulbrighters receive a scholarship toward their tuition and fees, living expenses, and other related costs. Beginning in the 2018-2019 academic year, this amount will be set at $2,000 per month for students, that is, grantees without a PhD, and $3,000 per month for scholars, that is, postdoctoral researchers, visiting professors, and some mid-career professionals. Fulbright grantees also benefit from J-1 visa sponsorship, as well as J-2 visa sponsorship for accompanying dependents, a pre-departure orientation in Brussels, and a $1,000 travel stipend to defray the costs of traveling to and from the United States. While in the U.S., Fulbrighters receive sickness and accident insurance and are invited to participate in in-country programming. This includes gateway orientations upon arrival in the United States for students and enrichment seminars throughout the grant period, both of which allow grantees to visit another part of the U.S. and to interact with Fulbright grantees from around the world. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, Fulbrighters receive the prestigious title of Fulbright grantee and membership in a global alumni network. In order to be eligible for the Fulbright program, applicants must have Belgian or Luxembourgish citizenship. All applicants, except those to the Study of the United States Institutes for Student Leaders, must have a minimum of a bachelor's degree, and successful applicants will be able to demonstrate a record of academic excellence, generally through an annual distinction or a grand distinction awarded at the end of the degree. English proficiency is also required, and the entire application process is completed in English. In a separate but simultaneous process, applicants to the Fulbright program should seek admission to or affiliation with an accredited U.S. university, research institution, or think tank. The Fulbright Commission in Brussels is not responsible for arranging these affiliations. Applications to the Fulbright program are completed entirely online via a link that will appear on the Fulbright website after September 15th. Applicants should fill out the online application and prepare the necessary documents, including letters of recommendation, transcripts, and essays. The deadline for Belgian and Luxembourgish citizens to apply to the Fulbright program is noon on December 1st. Late or incomplete applications will not be considered. Top-ranked applicants are invited to a short in-person interview with members of the selections committee. These interviews are held in Brussels for Belgian citizens and in Luxembourg City for Luxembourgish citizens, and typically occur in the last week of January. In mid-February, the Fulbright Commission begins notifying selected candidates who will still need to be approved by the Foreign Fulbright Scholarship Board before their selection can be finalized. Grantees submit paperwork for their visas and prepare for departure during the spring. While some grantees may leave as early as the end of July, most will depart for the United States in August or September.
The Fulbright Commission has partnerships with a number of law schools across the United States that offer Fulbright Partner Awards. Each of these law schools has agreed to offer additional funding, often in the forms of a tuition waiver, to Belgian or Luxembourgish students selected for a Fulbright scholarship. To learn more about available partner awards, please visit the website of the Fulbright Commission in Brussels. To learn more about financing LL.M degrees in the United States, consult university and law school websites and nonprofit organizations like the Law School Admissions Council. Don't forget to take advantage of the resources available close to you, like in-country alumni networks, in-country fairs like the annual LL.M Tour, and your local Education USA Advising Center.